and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order. Approve the agenda. A motion to approve the agenda with flexibility.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Approve December 30th special meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 30th special meeting minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Approve January 8th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 8th, 2025 meeting minutes with an addition that the work comp for detail and Cuddill was for the fire department.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Huh?
What'd you second that? I seconded it, yeah.
All, motion carried. Add commissioners to the 2025 wage correction to yearly designations.
We had where, I had put same as last year. Cody had found where, for like the booster, I had Lakota Times and Bennett County booster. She said, was it just the booster wasn't Lakota Times last year?
Yeah, so there was an addition for that one, and then the bank was
And then, that is South Dakota Public Investment Trust. Do we wanna keep that on there as a bank designation?
Do you use that?
We haven't used it since we took all that money out of it,
So just keep it
Is there any
security
reason
first.
to go back to it?
not till we get the interest rates up.
Just leave it.
Okay, and then JC salary I had dropped. It should be $43,180.80.
Motion for correction. You have a question? I have a question, yeah. What corrections are we making, I guess?
JC's salary,
I have listed wrong under the yearly
Yeah.
designations. And then, for our.
The commissioners, add the commissioners to that. Yeah.
And the commissioners got left off of the
Yeah.
wages,
So that's
For
part of
the
this motion
yearly
to add that.
yes.
Fix JC's,
And then take
And-
SD Fit off as an investment,
okay?
because I don't use
And then
them.
add Lakota Times as a,
Question with that, so we're gonna have two that are the official paper then?
Yes, we've done that.
Okay. That happened last year or whatever. Is there additional cost to that?
No, there's no cost.
Perfect. I would, is that your motion, Lou?
yeah, motion for corrections.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Approve claims.
I had a question on my Bennett County Hospital and Nursing Home. Blood alcohol is $14,000.
That's, yeah, I've got that circled.
okay, it was past due, so it was like, I think August and September, when we were reading the bill, we were reading the bill wrong. They were, instead of doing like the total bill, they were only doing what was current, or we were. And so I caught it last time, but I wasn't sure, so we just paid what was current as that month. Judy got a hold of me and said, no, it should have been this whole amount. We had Jason go back through to make sure and verify that all of those were incidences that they had, and so that's why we did it.
That same bill.
This is blood alcohol.
They were drug screens, blood alcohol runs.
For how many months?
I think it was since September.
So we have 2024 expenses on the 2025.
Yeah.
Because that budget's gone.
And this Jason you're talking about, he's a state auditor?
No, he was the sheriff.
Sheriff.
Oh.
Did they give you an itemized list of everybody that we
I
paid for
believe
blood
so.
alcohol?
I've got it in the office.
And blood alcohol is supposed to be repaid, right?
It is, what we paid, the hospital 40-ish per.
But the people who get blood alcohol are supposed to repay that.
I always ask for restitution, so yeah.
Do very many of them do restitution? Do we keep track of it at all? Because that could be put back in the budget.
It goes into the clerk and then the clerk repays the county, I believe. I'm not exactly sure how that works. But I know that, we do the, attorney reviews and stuff and that.
That's tracked separately. That
Is
is, when we get our check from the clerk, it says court attorney, along with a list of who paid what. The blood drives, it's not tracked separately, is what it is.
I think there's more in the bill. If I remember, it's the bill I'm thinking about. It's the one with the map.
So what is that bill for, Susan? I mean,
Blood alcohol,
the 14,000.
She's underpaid it.
it's
Okay.
for when they pick someone up for a DUI
Uh-huh.
and do a blood alcohol.
And it's
They
$50
have to
per
take
time.
it, they take them to the hospital. I think they used to do it here in the
Okay.
sheriff's office.
They do both. They do both. I know that if they're compliant, they go to the hospital. If they're not, they stay here, depending on if they have somebody to, draw blood here. So they have to call somebody in. So I know that they still do both.
Okay, so just the red flag, if it's $50 per time and you haven't paid it, we'd have to not be paying it for a long time, I would assume.
That'd be
Looks like that.
five
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
That's 57 draws a month. That's almost two a
That's
day.
more than one person a day
That's
that they're
almost two a
picking up
day.
I
for.
think there's more in that bill than just blood alcohol.
Yeah, that's where I was.
It just kind of throws a red flag, I think that's what
It
everyone's
does,
seeing.
we budgeted $5,000.
But is that all the bills? Like even the ones from previous months that we didn't pay?
Just, well, that's the paper that Judy gave me.
Did you go back through and make sure we hadn't already paid some of those?
No,
Well,
this is just for December. This is just,
But they should be sending an itemized statement, an itemized bill.
Well, I know
Whether
we
it's an
paid,
emergency room visit.
we paid some in December.
so December was 2,200. And over the 60 days was 8,900. Over 90 days was 2,900. I'm pretty sure.
I think
paid
we
for
need to
some of
hold this bill
Yeah.
and so we can check out and see if we can track the restitution.
this. You go back
Tell
here.
me one an itemized from.
But they're supposed to be sending us one. And it's got everybody's name on it, and it's the emergency room, just the blood draw, a tox screen. Is what we used to get. It was all itemized out.
So who, officially gets that bill, and is that
The auditor.
the auditor's office?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. There's a $8,900 bill back in November.
So I think it's this person got multiple tests done. That's $400 worth of testing.
Well, if they end up in the emergency room, which would have been prior to November, which the city was taking them up there. But if that's a current one, I don't know why.
So apparently, there are different levels of ER. And the higher the number, the higher the cost is on it.
So is that something that goes to your office then, Sarah? To
It
eventually
doesn't, but I
get,
can look at it if you want.
I said, I just didn't know if that was like recoverable, or if that's just a cost that's incurred that's not, you know, if like, so I just,
So the DUI fee, so when somebody is taken out to the hospital for a blood draw, that's something that is recoverable as far
And the
as.
DUI fee, yes, is repaid under a separate account from the court codes. So we can track the DUI fee.
Sarah, could you come here? I don't wanna, this has got names on it, I don't. See if you can explain something to me here. Okay, this one right here, it's got ER level, I don't know what that means, you got a charge with that. Same day, same time, ER level 3, and then you get another ding.
So this is what brought this person in, so right here, they just did some charges for the blood draw. For this, there was something else that happened that he was seen for, so it may have been, on occasion, the winter jail wants us to clear people before they accept them, that could have been it. It may have been some other issue.
I mean, you got level 3 here, level 3 here, well,
Yeah, I'm not positive.
I wonder if that, I suppose that's a doctor, I suppose an alcohol draw, a nurse that's on duty
Right.
Somebody from the lab.
does
Just
it,
like,
and there ain't no, but you bring a doctor in,
right,
then that's where this is coming.
so like for this person, it's only, blood alcohol.
Right, right.
Obviously, there were more issues.
Would they have been under arrest at that time?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, without what I've heard, probably.
But we can go through, I mean, if you want to hold off on.
I think we
go
need to
through
hold it.
and see where we're at with some of those, because I know in the past we've had some that we've gotten charged for that we shouldn't have, and the hospital will take off that amount.
Is that 2,200?
$220.
So we paid $222 in December. So,
Do you wanna make a motion to pay them all except for,
County Hospital.
motion for that?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I make a motion to pay the claims, hold off the Bennett County Hospital claim till we do some more checking into it.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comment?
Go ahead, Mr. Fogg.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Vice Chairman, could I read a copy of your highway plan that is ready in January, please?
Generate over you.
I would be waiting on the 31st at the latest. Second quick item, I noticed there's a pay discrepancy with respect to election workers across the county. I believe the school board is looking at $20 an hour again for their election. And the county is what, 15, I think, for people doing the same or very similar work. I wonder if the commission might consider, coming in line with the school or the school in line with, so people are treated fairly. With that, I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your December 30th meeting, if possible. I see in the minutes, it states that Lou Donovan made a motion to approve Resolution 12, and Susan Williams wanted to make a note that contingency transfer was budgeted, and also that we had a couple bad years in legislative audit, understands that we did not get the hearing published in the paper as it should have been. So as to that, the county, to my understanding, looking at your minutes here, raised the county budget $741,000 and some change. That is how much on December 30th you raised the county budget. I don't know if you realize this or not, but that is 20% raise in the county budget. That is a 20% raise made at the last meeting of the year. The county commissioners that are sitting there, 4 of you, knew that this county was over budget for 6 months and did nothing about that. 6 entire months you've been over budget. I've told you repeated times that this county is over budget with nothing being done. You waited till the very last meeting of the year and then used the excuse that we did not have time to have a public hearing to inform the public that you're going to do a raise in the county budget of 20%. The county taxpayers of this county have a right to speak on behalf of the county's budget. State law says that you have got to provide the taxpayers with 10 days notice in order to speak on the county budget before you raise it. 4 of you up there are failing this county. You're failing it. You're overspending, you're raising the budget 20% without informing the public. You're treating money like it's nothing. You're using the taxpayers' money like it's absolutely nothing. You're imposing opt-outs on us. We don't think you're going to do it again this year. You don't go $900,000 overspending in 2 years and not think another opt-out's coming. I will be here to fight you on this opt-out again. But this is taxpayer money, and you have a right to uphold the law to the taxpayers and give us public notice to speak if you're going to raise the budget. 20% on a $3.8 million budget is a lot of money. $741,000 in 1 year of raising the budget without public notice. I'm just going to state for the record that 4 of you are failing horrible. I hope Jay is able to do a great job at getting you 4 in line. And I honestly think you need to consider a different job and a different line of work. I yield my time. Thank you.
Any more public comment? Regina?
Good morning, Commissioners. Regina Bakley, Program Manager, Regional Youth Educator with South Dakota 4-H. I know when I was here last time, I had mentioned that one of the services we offer is a annual program review. And that's really just a chance for me to meet with Mary Kay, kind of see what went well, where we have room for improvement, and then help her to set some goals for the upcoming year. So I'm going to go ahead and pass out a copy of her review, so you'll see what she wrote and then my feedback. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, as I know you guys have a full agenda today. But I do want to highlight a few things. Before I start on that, though, I do want to add that this is something that we as a regional team have decided will no longer be a requirement. It's going to be more optional. So the two ways it would be optional is if you guys enjoy getting this content and you want me to continue doing that, I just need to know that prior to the review cycle, which is in September. So you can email me, let me know today, whatever that looks like for you. The only other time we would do it is if we happen to see performance issues from our side. Of course, I'd come to you guys first and let you know I'm going to proceed with that process, but other than that, this is not necessary unless you want it to be. So the first page, there are a couple of things I want to highlight. So these are the SDSU extension objectives. The majority of these things are pretty common and easy to accomplish when you're used to working in a professional office. But there are two things that Mary Kay does extremely well in this area that I would like to highlight. The first being, it's kind of unique in her position, that serving as a 4-H professional, she also covers a lot of the extension work. So she actually has an applicator training this afternoon. So that just goes to show that she's really truly in it for the entire extension experience, and I applaud her for that. I don't know if you guys recognize how lucky you are. A lot of our other counties that have program assistants don't have extension types of resources at their fingertips. So that's something I want to applaud her on. She does a lot of really good work there. The second thing would be is Mary Kay is an extremely hard worker and a great teamwork employee. In the last 5.5 years that I've known Mary Kay, she has never once said, that's not my job. And I think you've probably all seen that. She's always willing to jump in, chip in where she can. And so those are just a few things on that first page that I wanted to reference. The next one for her program reflection, she lists kind of her proudest moments. And then the one that I do want to touch base on is the challenge that she had to overcome this year. I'm going to be completely honest with you all. This is the second version of this document. The first one, the way that Mary Kay had her biggest struggle written was very unlike her. It came across very negative and slightly unprofessional, so I gave her the opportunity to rewrite it, but I did still want to let you know what that topic was. So when I was with her at fair this summer here helping, she was extremely burnt out. She feels like she's drowning. And one of the things that we were able to keep coming back to was that she feels like a lot of the work that the fair board is doing keeps getting pushed off on her. And she can't focus solely on her 4-H tasks. At this point, I think we've tried to figure out that she needs to step back from the fair board a little bit, give them a little bit more responsibility. But that is what she had originally had as her biggest struggle, was she no longer wanted to be in this position because she physically felt like she was drowning in this job, having so many extra things thrown at her. At this point, I think we're a little bit better because it's kind of a slower time of year. But if we start to see issues again this spring, that may be something I have to bring to you guys again to see if we can't come up with a responsibility list. What's her 4-H duties? What's the fair board duties? And make sure they don't cross. So there's that. A few of the other things she references as far as making sure that I and the state are providing enough resources. There are a few things she felt she was lacking, but when her and I met a couple months back, we were actually able to make sure she had access to the resources she was needing and provide her some of that information. So those have been addressed. The last one that you'll see that I'm going to touch base on are her goals. So we asked each program assistant to at least set 3 goals. That just kind of gives them a vision of where they would like to go this next year. I think all 3 of her goals are extremely relevant. Once you guys have a little bit more time and you can read through the full document, you'll see that they're really pertinent for the youth in Bennett County. I think she'll have great success in those. I'm happy to support her along the way. But those are the goals that if you guys choose to do a review next year, we'll have some follow-up on those. She did not have goals this last year because that was when she was kind of doing her health issues, and we didn't have a chance to write those. So, document 1. Any questions on that? Of course, you should all have my contact info, so if you have questions, I have a whole other document, but you're welcome to email me.
One question on that.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of information here that was the feedback.
Mhm.
Are there solutions in the feedback?
Yes, for some of them there are. Yep, I try to be like, we can go to this resource, or after she turns in her review and I write my review or feedback, we We actually spend about an hour or so on a Zoom meeting, her and I do, and go through each individual thing. So I think in there she mentions not having access to brochures and not having a budget to print a bunch of stuff. So we have determined that anything she needs into Access, I will print it up and wrap it and bring it down here. So we try to brainstorm some of those issues to try to make it a little bit more comfortable for her. So
And that, I guess, is what's most helpful for me to try to help us on some of this is like some bullet points of where solutions of what could help and how that could be done, right? So, because that just gives you a checklist.
this is what we're doing. Yep, got it. Yeah. We can do that if you guys decide to continue to do this process. I'm going to have you pass another one. This one's a little bit more fun to look at, in my opinion. So we offer a clientele survey. So an email went out to all of the families and volunteers in Bennett County, and they had the opportunity to participate in a survey, just giving their feedback on the 4-H program. Again, I won't go too in-depth with this, but the first page just tells you, out of the individuals that took the survey, what their relationship to the 4-H program was. So 78% were 4-H, who is all 4-H parents, who are also a volunteer. The other 22% were just supporters and not a 4-H parent. And then it goes on through a few different topics. The first being communication, and we asked them to rate their overall satisfaction with the types of communication that Mary Kay has offered. So face-to-face, newsletter, email, newspaper articles, and things of that nature. Overall, her numbers are really good. I think you'll notice that flyers and marketing are some in the NA category. That is actually something Mary Kay has told me numerous times she needs to improve on, so it's not like it's something completely surprising. So that's something that we will be working on. I actually helped her with Facebook before I came in here today. So, and then the next one is just how often they receive communication, the different types of ways that they receive communication, just on a little different graphic there that's a little bit easier to read. The next one is how often they offer programs and events throughout the year. You can see the different options up top as far as seasonally, often, frequent, once in a while. The majority would say often, which we say is about 4 to 8 programs a year. So this is a new question that I added this year, because if you're doing a bunch of programming, that's great. But if your program isn't good, then there's no benefit to offering a bunch of programs. So the question came up of how would you rate the quality of the programs that are being provided? And you will see that the majority are an excellent or above average. So Mary Kay has continued to do a really good job in the program she offers. Overall, most people say that they have had a 5-star experience in the Bennett County 4-H program, with a few saying 4 and even less saying 3-star. Everybody that has had a relationship with the office is either good or excellent, which of course you've all had a chance to visit with Mary Kay. You know, she's extremely professional, personable, easy to get along with. So those numbers, again, are not surprising for any of us. The last one is open-ended questions. So you can see some direct survey participant quotes. So what was your favorite thing about your local 4-H County program? Seeing the development of confidence and abilities in our youth. Of course, if we're going to get the grade, we also have to go with maybe what's not your favorite thing, and then the lack of participation in so many things that are set up and offered with no attendance. And then the last one is just an additional, that was any other comments that you may have for a chance to share. Any questions on any of this? I know that that's like a crash course, but I do think it's important that you take a chance to read through these. Overall, Mary Kay has had a great year program-wise. Obviously, mental health-wise, we're working through some things there, but I'm happy to continue to support her, whatever that looks like for you guys. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out. Otherwise, we are done with the year and on to the next one. So let me know if you want me to continue doing this, both versions of this document, and I am happy to do so.
I think it's very beneficial for us to see the feedback and stuff.
Yeah.
Is this something that goes to the public as well?
No, because this doesn't. This is just between us and her, because this is her actual feedback on herself and her program. The clientele survey feedback I could probably put out to the public because they're the ones that took the survey, so they'd be used to seeing the questions if that's something you want me to do. So, or I can ask her to include it in her newsletter. So, all right, if you don't have any questions, that is all I have for you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Can we jump back to public comment? Can we jump around a little bit? I just had something I wanted to talk in there a little bit. Where are we at, on highway superintendent and secretary? Just out of curiosity. I know it's not on the agenda, but I know you guys. Oh, it is. Okay. Well, that's one I guess I had. And then the other one, I had a question for Judd. Judd, do you have any solutions in mind, I guess, to what you had talked about? Do you propose anything?
Well, the counties went over budget 2 years in a row, and in July, they went through another budgeting process. They know they spend this money. They have no problem raising the budget at the end of the year every year without giving the public to speak. Why not raise the budget during the regular budgeting process in July, and then I wouldn't have anything to argue about? If you have that money and it's so easily to throw in at the end of the year, why not throw it in during the regular budgeting process and actually have a highway superintendent that can do a budget and budget that money in and come up with an actual road plan to figure this money and have a plan of spending it? If it's that easily accessible there, if you put that money in the regular budget when it's supposed to go in the budget, that'll give the public to speak at that time instead of throwing it in afterwards. There's all the benefits are there to do it the legal and the correct way. Don't just wait till the money, at the end of the money. Correct, July, August, when the county does their annual budget.
Okay.
Budget it in then. This year budget, Bennett County, or last year, actually lowered the budget. They knew they were over budget. They knew they spent this money the year before. They knew they were gonna spend this money this year. And then in turn, they lower the budget by $250,000 for 2025. I mean, it goes to show that they don't know what they're doing when it comes to assigning a budget for the county.
Okay, I'm just trying to kind of think of a solution kind of a thing and trying to ask where that would help.
Well, the solution should come in June and July of 2025 when we're doing next year's budget. And that way it'll give the public a chance to know what's going on with our road department. Well, thank you, Jay.
Yes, thanks. And then Bob August, election wages, so where's that at on our, what you're talking about, election wages, election personnel
Yeah, that was
wages?
public comment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where do I find that, or when is that changed? I guess I just need a little help with that.
That was in the first meeting when we did the yearly designations, the election workers.
So it's like this list that I have that kind of designates all of that?
And it's on the agenda for the school board for tonight's meeting as well.
To raise it to 20?
Yes. Correct, Bob?
Yes.
So they haven't raised
They
it
haven't.
yet,
It's going to be the last year.
but it should be on your first yearly designations of election workers for $15 an hour.
That's what I need to know. Thanks. Just trying to figure things out, so.
Mr. Yoder, if you pull up the school board's agenda online right now, you'll see the item with respect to their election workers pay on the reset agenda for tonight. The city, I think, is still 15.
Okay.
As I believe the county wants to go. It's just fairness for people.
Okay. So I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Rose Bridge reinspection resolution. Whereas 23 CFR 650 subpart C requires initial inspection of all bridges and reinspection at intervals not exceeding 2 years with the exception of reinforced concrete box culverts that meet specific criteria. These culverts are reinspected at intervals not to exceed 4 years. Therefore, Bennett County is desirous of participating in the bridge inspection program. The county requests South Dakota DOT to hire Rose Engineering consulting engineers for the inspection work. South Dakota DOT will secure federal approvals, making payments to the consulting engineer for inspecting services rendering and bill the county for 20% of the cost. The county will be responsible for the required 20% matching funds dated this 22nd day of January 2025 on South Dakota. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Tyler Nolan.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners and ladies and gentlemen of the audience. I'm here to talk about ordinance. And I brought copies for everybody. I brought copies for the public they'd like to see as well. So what I'm here for is, you have one of these?
I'd like one, if I could, please.
You'd like one too?
Yep.
Try it. You guys got one? I got more. Everyone got one?
Oh, there's two to each one?
There's two.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there's 2 pages to it. One is codified law 34-20G-58.
Oh, yes, I got it.
There, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
The state the first one is that you can put limitations on such establishments, but the second one contradicts what the city and the county have on the books already. With that, there will be is Martin the municipality, I guess is the question for Bennett County. Can somebody answer me that question?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, then 59 says that you cannot make an ordinance that prohibits it within the county or municipality. And within the city limits, the way the city and the county read violates the 59. When we had city council meeting, it was put on the agenda. I abstained from it, and it was passed unanimously to drop them all, except for what the state requires, which is 1,000 feet from the school. This is the heaviest regulated thing in South Dakota at the moment. The security is ridiculous. It's more than we have at the jail. It's more crazy than selling guns. This is a healthcare facility. It's a medical marijuana dispensary. You have to have a prescription to even walk through the door. The regulation that the county's put forward is pretty much there's nowhere in Martin to put one. When you think it's and if you go back here to look at cannabis dispensary on your guys' own regulation, 105 or 107 cannabis dispensary, it says within existing property lines. Since we don't have zoning in Martin, the state doesn't measure by property lines because I asked them about a few buildings in town and they had to measure it. I had to call the head state department and they told me the school is the only 1,000 feet from the school is the only state requirement that they have. I mean, everything else is backed up by the health department. This is a heavily regulated procedure. And then you go back to your guys' ordinance, 1,000 feet from a public or private school existing before the date, that one's state law. But everything else was drafted by you guys and adopted, and I'm not entirely sure why, unless it's for prohibition. Something I keep hearing every time I come to a county commissioner meeting is that we don't have any money, or the road problem is an issue, right? The budget keeps going up and up. Well, this is the most taxed item in all of history, human history. It's 25%, which goes back to the county's roads and schools. I mean, I'm simply trying to start a business or make it available for somebody to start a business, but you can't even start the application without a location. And by your guys' own rules, shall not be within 1,000 feet of a non-residential daycare facility, should not be within 1,000 feet of a public park, public recreational facility, library, 1,000 feet from a religious institution. There's 10 churches in town. You blanket coverage it on churches alone, or 1,000 feet from a residence. And we dropped that. The city dropped that themselves because Sarah told us we were in clear violation of state law. I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't thinking there was support in the community for this. The last city council meeting we had, I've never seen so many people come for one topic at all. We had a packed house. There's overwhelming support, and there's another license available. What I'm simply asking is that the county could recognize that and see the potential for new income, new business. Whether you agree with it or you don't, this is a medical facility for healthcare. We don't charge the medical facilities in town with these crazy regulations, do it? I'm looking for a motion to drop the county ordinances that are not in compliance with the state.
So I would just like to point out, since you guys all got a copy of this, SDCL 3420G 58, if you look towards the bottom after number 6, it talks about governing body of the county may enact an ordinance governing all matters set forth in this section, which is what Bennett County did. It also, the next sentence says the city ordinance applies throughout the county ordinance applies throughout its jurisdiction, except within the boundaries of a municipality that has enacted an ordinance in accordance with this section. The city enacted an ordinance in accordance with this section. They may have made some changes in the last meeting. They haven't went into effect yet, but they still have the ordinance that is in accordance with this section. The ordinance establishes fees for an application. Their ordinance also sets the number of permits. They have an ordinance. What that means is the county's ordinance does not affect the city ordinance. The county's ordinance is for the county. It does not apply to a city. And so
Within
I
the
understand.
municipal boundaries, it doesn't apply, basically,
Correct.
since the city already has an ordinance on it.
Correct. And so any changes that Mr. Nolet is asking you to make, it does not affect the city. And so if he's wanting to put an establishment in the city, this county ordinance does not affect that in any way.
Okay, so
This ordinance is for the county, not in the city.
So I could walk in here with an application and you guys would approve it, even if it was next to a church or a residence. Because the school situation has made it a little difficult. That's the only one the state cares about.
We can't approve city ordinance.
I-
We can't approve an application for within the city. Now, if you're trying to set up a business in the county
You have-
outside of the city, we can approve that.
I have to, for the state, I don't think you understand how the application process works, because first, if I did it in the city, I would have to go through the same process as a Form E from here. I have to get that, followed by the county next for a Form E. So it is an application through here, because I have to have that to apply for the state. They won't even take my application without those two pieces of paper. We've been through this with the Frost Factory already. I mean, I looked into the paperwork, and I'm trying to do this by the book and by the law. And the county clearly says that you can't. So the city says you'd be in violation of county law. Can't even apply for the application on the first one. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's
I mean-
incorrect. According to the law, it's incorrect.
I disagree.
That's fine.
But at the same time, is it up to the lawyers or is it up to the county commissioners?
So is he gonna run into any issues, basically, if he comes in with an application?
If
And
the
it's-
city changes their ordinance, there shouldn't be an issue with the county's ordinance, because the county ordinance applies to outside of the city, not to a municipality.
So he's good to move forward.
There should be no issues.
Okay,
Unless
there you go.
he intends to open up a business outside of the city limits, then he'll have to come to us to apply.
But if you're doing it within,
yeah, I mean, within is more ideal than outside town. We talked about doing it out at the Frost Factory, but it's not ideal. That old dirt you want to talk about, old roads that need some work.
I mean, it kinda sounds to me like you're good to go. And then we can sure address something if it comes up in the future.
Well, that's why I'm here is, I waited for the election, see how things went. I've had over the last year, I've had a lot of applications. Try to get a hold of us, try to directly buy from us. That's illegal, we're a wholesaler. Somebody has to figure something out. Now I have options in Rapid and other places, I've told them that. But not everybody can get out of town. It's why would you have to go to Rapid to buy groceries or for healthcare, for that matter? This is just another business in town that should be able to produce quite a fair amount of tax revenue because the tax rate's ridiculous.
Which I think you have the opportunity to move forward with in the community, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if the county, that's good with the county. I just was trying to cover my bases on this one.
I mean, I'm good, I'm good with it. I mean, you guys, have any?
Well, we can really do right now.
I mean, that's all I'm asking for. It's an opportunity.
When you came for that permit, and you said, we put all these in, but you said you weren't gonna, there was no plans in selling directly in town. I do remember that.
Oh, no, not Frost Factory has no plans. This would be a whole nother business. The second license that's available is what it would be. It'd be a totally different LLC with a different EIN number. Or we'd have to change our licensing with the state. It's a whole big deal. It's not ideal. I have to change our DOR number. It's a lot more difficult at that point. The Frost Factory alone is staying in cultivation only. It's wholesaler. They have nothing to do with selling in town. But that's just one license.
So you're basically starting another business.
Yes, that's what I was looking forward to. And I can't even start an LLC without a location to get an EIN number to apply. this is kind of where I was at, because when we look at, if this doesn't apply to the city, then I'm good to go in moving forward. But if this applied within the city limits, it gives blanket coverage.
Sounds like a good move forward though.
All right, well, if that's the case, I concede my time. Thank you guys for hearing me out.
Thank you.
DGR, engineer plat.
No, that's the, we got a plat there on the table, that was sent over for, it's a new, I think you're doing a housing development maybe out by, the casino, that area, they've got a new plat drawn up for it, so. Kelly and I both looked at it, everything looks good to us.
Can I step up for just a second? A couple minutes is all we got.
We just see what you said.
It's just a formality.
It is, so. Oh, sorry.
I'm glad I knew that or not.
Not very.
You got like 10 inches of snow.
In Florida?
Yes.
Really?
Just pick them iguanas up and put them in a trash can.
They really did?
know they're Florida.
I bet you it wasn't 50 below though. God dang it.
So much thought you guys have to access.
Pending taxes are paid before it goes through. Cause I don't think I've signed off on that yet, as the tax.
Reading this one.
So if they're not paid, I'm not signing them if they make it.
So you need to have a motion.
I think you can motion to approve it pending taxes are paid.
Spring it gets cleared in the trust pretty quick anyway, I imagine. Imagine I'll get cleared in the trust pretty quick anyway.
They never did Jesse's, so I don't know.
Where's that at?
Behind Renix's,
You have the trees there?
I'm assuming that's where I heard they were putting them.
Oh, yeah, here's a highway.
I had to they initially submitted 2 plats, because one of them, they had an access there for, I think it's Emma Lane, and, but that was all gonna be just tribal ground, which I couldn't record that plat since it was all tribal, so they added that access in on this one, but it is all deeded ground, and I thought, you got it too, no, sorry.
Was that good? Yep. Good.
Do we have a motion to approve the plat pending?
I think you have to read the top of the.
Plats of lot 1-25 Martin LICHTC edition. In the northeast quarter and the southeast quarter, northeast quarter, northwest quarter of section 21, township 37 north, range 37 west of the 6th PM, Bennett County, South Dakota, containing 17.51 AC, including plus or minus 4.67 acre road right away. We have a motion to approve plat
Probably the best up there.
with pending
Taxes paid.
taxes paid.
Motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Oh, get out.
Does that resolution have highway superintendent's signature?
Yes, it does.
I talked to a few registered deeds about that, they felt that it would probably go through the auditor to sign off on highway authority, since we don't have a superintendent right now, and just have the commissioner, chair sign off on the commissioner's side.
It takes a special little pen right there.
Do we wait until after you sign it?
I mean, you can sign it. I'm not gonna sign it till the taxes are paid and it can't be recorded
Okay,
until I sign
that's
it.
what I wanted to know. Okay.
We're gonna postpone that till next meeting.
Doing what?
Postpone the report till next meeting. I guess you are the secretary. We're not gonna postpone it. Julian's here. She can speak.
I'm not speaking.
That's your job.
No, it's not. My job is to take notes. I'm not here to a postpone it, but you need to figure out what you're gonna do. That's not my job.
Postpone it. We'll just tell what's going on. on in.
Bill, can you just grab that chair for me?
We finally got the audit completed, and so I'm here to report on what our findings were. We're gonna start with the document that says draft on it. Those are our written comments for this audit. I think these get also put in the first one, was an internal control finding where we found that there was inadequate supporting documentation for purchases. We quote some of the laws that talk about how they're supposed to document things. Basically what we found invoices submitted for gravel purchases did not always include load slips to support the tons purchased to allow the county to determine if the appropriate amounts were billed and are the correct bid price paid. Invoices submitted for gravel hauling did not always include adequate information indicating the actual tons and miles hauled to allow the county to determine the appropriate amounts were billed. We kind of repeat ourselves about that, I guess, a little bit, but invoices submitted for gravel hauling did not always indicate the roads to which the gravel was hauled to support the miles charged to allow the county to determine that the services were actually performed and to record the costs to the appropriate roads in the cost accounting system. There's another law that requires you guys to maintain the cost accounting system at the highway department, and that each year there should be a report printed out from that highway cost that shows how much it costs you to maintain each specific road, each piece of equipment, and some of that stuff, and that's a requirement of state law that you have that type of system too. And I'm not sure what you have right now for a cost, who's doing the cost accounting system and stuff, because I don't understand, you have a bookkeeper right now, right? So,
This is for what year?
this is, we audited 21 and 22.
Which is the previous board.
Yeah.
Two
Previous board.
Yeah. So yeah, this is 21 and 22, so. Invoices submitted for snow removal did not include the dates when the snow removal services were performed to allow the county to determine the services were actually performed. Invoices submitted for snow removal or other road work did not always indicate the roads where the work was performed to allow recording costs, again, with the cost accounting system. Basically recommend that the county require invoices be submitted, include load tickets to support quantities received, information indicating which roads were impacted by the goods or services being purchased, and that the appropriate information to verify that the awarded bid price was also paid. And our second comment that we have is non-compliance with state competitive bid statutes. Again, the first part, we quote some laws and stuff in there. That next whole page is stuff quoting the laws. And then the gist of it is in the next part where we, under the context. These are the things that we found that we felt were in violation of state bid laws. The county awarded all bids received for gravel purchases, gravel hauling, equipment rental, and road work. An analysis of each project was not completed to determine which awarded bid was the actual bid for that specific project. When you award all bids to everybody, every time you guys use one of those to do something, there should have been an analysis done and said, okay, we're gonna haul to this road. These are the different prices we have for the hauling and stuff, and so this is the true low bid for that project. So you still got it, even though you awarded it all, you still got to calculate to determine which is the low bid price for that project, and to go with that. County awarded and paid for ditch pulling projects to a vendor that was not the apparent low bidder. The county awarded and paid for pit run gravel purchases to a vendor that was not the apparent low bidder. County awarded and paid for road blading projects that were not included in the specifications for road work. The county awarded and paid for culvert replacement projects to a vendor that was not the apparent low bidder. The county made purchases of crushed gravel without advertising for bids. Bids received for gravel hauling in 2022 were not comparable as one bidder bid per mile and the other bidders bid per ton mile. Snow removal services were not bid for the 22-23 winter season. County let bids for culvert removal replacement, blading, road maintenance, and snow removal on April 6, 2023. There was no record in the official minutes that the board ever accepted and awarded these bids. The county paid for snow removal projects in 2023 to a vendor that was not the parent low bidder, even though there was no record of a bid being awarded. The county paid for culvert replacement projects in 2023 to a vendor that was not the parent low bidder, even though there was no record of a bid being awarded. And then the county paid for oversized rock in March of 2024 at a bid price other than what was the accepted bid price that wasn't effective until May 2024 when the bid was awarded. We did go into 23 and 24 looking at these bids because of the problems that we were having and stuff. But we went to about May of 24, I think is where we ended our review and stuff on that. So, the bid laws are out there for a reason and stuff, and you guys need to start following those bid laws and complying with those. I mean, that's if somebody didn't care about that, they wouldn't have passed those laws and stuff for those purposes. So we need to kind of look at that better and follow those bid laws better. There was one of you that talked about that. I was going to mention something about. That was the part too in the minutes. That one that you never could find any place in the minutes. You guys opened the bids, and the following minutes you awarded I believe the gravel hauling bid, but didn't address any of the other bids that you also opened that other meeting. And so there was never any documentation that any of those other bids for some road work and some of those things was ever awarded to anybody. So. And the next one, written comment we have is a budgetary non-compliance. For the year ended 2022, the highway, roads, and bridges budget was overspent by $80,647. The debt service line was overspent by $30,852, and then the rural access infrastructure fund, other public works was overspent by $19,760. When you guys are doing budget supplements and stuff, you need to get that timing down right. Any kind of budget supplement you do, you have to have a hearing on it. You have to give notice at least 10 days prior before you do the hearing. And the minutes then, when you get done with the minutes, they should identify. Normally, I guess what I see in most counties is that you'll see at one meeting they'll say, okay, we're going to set December 10th at 10 a.m. for our supplemental budget hearing. And that's usually done at one meeting. And then at the meeting, then you'll see in the minutes that say, okay, at 10 o'clock we had our budget supplemental hearing, no one appeared or whatever, and then you usually pass the resolution and stuff. You have to remember that resolution, normally the resolution isn't effective until 20 days after publication. However, we learned from at least the Pennington County State's Attorney advised their auditor's office that if they put in the resolution that it's, for the, I'm trying to think the wording and stuff, but anyway, more or less, in the last whereas therefore, or whatever they say, is that this will be effective upon publication. Because it's for the necessary existence of the county, I guess you could say, or whatever. So that's a kind of an exception to that 20-day rule, but you still got to get that around that. So it needs to be published. So you can't approve your budget supplements on the last meeting of the year. And then also, there's other laws that also talk about that. Okay, if you got an overspent budget, you shouldn't be allowing any expenditures for those things. Upon allowing anybody to pay, the auditor shouldn't be paying those things, because then there's some laws too that says you can be personally liable for any expenditures you authorized that there was no budget authority for. So you need to be watching these budgets. The department heads should be watching their budgets throughout the year. And if something comes up and says, okay, now we know that because of this, we're going to probably be overspent by the end of the year, they should be coming in and asking for a supplement before they go in the hole. not after the vote in the hole. So, because technically, when you approve all those bills before, that you're violating another state law about budgets, overdrafts and stuff then. Okay, and then our final written comment that we have is surplus unassigned fund balance. When we did they're allowed to have 40% of your next year's budget as your unassigned fund balance, but when we did the calculation at the end of 22, you're 299,779.35 over the allowed amount. And so, and I don't think, part of this is coming about because of some of that federal dollars that you guys got. I think at the end of 23, I don't think you guys had, 23, I think you did do some assignments, but I don't think you guys did any assignments in 24, so I'm not sure where you guys are sitting at now at the end of 24. But I think at the end of 23, we did a calculation while I was here. And we were over, I think, at the end of 23 also, or just right close to it and stuff. So you need to kind of watch that too and stuff. So, and the assignments, you can assign a lot of things and stuff, but we always say assign it in the general fund. Don't transfer the money, because if you transfer it to another fund, if now something comes up in the general fund that you could use that money for, you can't transfer it back. So that's why we always say do the assignments in the general fund to get that number down. Those are the written comments. Now if we go back to the letter, in the letter that's about 4 pages long, and it starts out with that in planning and performing our audit. That one, this is what we call our management letter, and in this, we talk about the written comments too, but we also have oral findings that we feel that we want to discuss with the board also. And so if we go to like the middle of page 2, that first one there is about one of the internal written comments that we already talked about. So we go into that part with deficiencies noted in internal controls which did not rise to the level of the material. These are our oral findings that we found. The first one there is internal accounting controls were inadequate to ensure that custodial fund subsidiary records were reconciled with the general balances. Variance existed between the motor vehicle clearing fund and the 24/7 custodial fund. Just recommend that appropriate reconciliations be completed on those. Number 2 is we noted there was various methods of making changes to the accounting system, that they're not always an independent review process of the changes in place. We recommend that the county implement a review process for these changes. There's a couple of reports that can be printed out that somebody else can review and stuff to see. What can happen with the Ultra system is that they can go in and change beginning balances on accounts and stuff like that without anybody knowing and stuff. So this report will show that type of thing. Number 3, all bids received and detail of supplemental budgets approved were not included in the minutes. Recommend that you research to determine what detail needs to be in the minutes. Usually, there's a lot that talks about the full resolutions need to be in the minutes. Usually when bids received, all the bids received are usually in there because the minutes are a permanent record. And they're the ones that basically tells your public what actions you've taken and the detail behind those actions. So, we just research what needs to be in those minutes and try to make those more complete than what you have. Number 4, the county at one time bought something off the Sourcewell contract for the bids. Using that, and that's a viable, you can do that and stuff, but when you buy off of Sourcewell, you should also go out to the Sourcewell website and they should print out the documentation of the bids that Sourcewell did and the dollar amounts and stuff. And then when you get billed by the vendor, you should be comparing that to make sure your vendor charged you the bid prices that were ordered and stuff. Number 5, county auditor is not reconciling tax account record to detailed listing of unpaid taxes that are no more than 6 years old. That's required by SBCL 1079. Okay, and the next section, those next 3 are the 3 written comments that we talked about. So we'll skip that part and go down to the immaterial violations of state laws. County is not transmitting to the state's unclaimed property any outstanding checks that are older than 1 year old and required by 43, 41B, 14. that one has a conflict in there that there's also a law in the books that allows counties to write off checks after 2 years, so, we see counties do either or type of thing, but it should be done on a regular basis, and I can't remember how some of the outstanding checks were that are still on the books out there that could be written off. Additional pay to various employees in lieu of insurance is not addressed in the annual salary list approved by the county commission, and additional pay for premium pay was not listed in the minutes by employee. During our audit period, you guys did some premium pay, but anytime you do any kind of change in pay for anybody, whether it's a bonus or whatever, you need to follow that state law that like every January you do that complete list of employees. Well, if you give everybody a bonus, you also then need to redo that list again and say, list all the employees and the amount of the bonus that they get. Or in the annual listing, you should identify which employees are getting that in lieu of. I think at the bottom, you guys just putting in there that employees are eligible for in lieu of, but you don't identify which employees are eligible. And so that should be part of that salary publication that, whether it's their regular rate and then they're in lieu of insurance money that they're getting should be also identified by person in there. Number 3, the fire insurance money received in 2022 was not distributed to the certified fire departments. Also, we've noted too in the past that the percentages that you guys do use for allocating the premiums are contrary to what SDCL 1044-9.5 says how you should allocate that money. You're supposed to allocate it by assessed value and population of the area that those departments maintain service in. Number 4, we noted the county auditor had not prepared and filed with the Department of Revenue the required PT-92 reports, which is a violation of 10.17. Noted that the county has not distributed any domestic abuse fund, which is a violation of 25.10.16. The 22 annual report was not published in the official newspapers required by 7.10.4. And that law requires that the annual report be published within 30 days from March 1st, and the 22 report actually never ever did get published. I kind of talked about this next one on 7. Minutes of the governing board did not record at length all resolutions approved by the county commission as required by 7/1887. Number 8, we noted that the county is coding all court-appointed attorney fees for juvenile cases to the abused and neglected child defense budget when all cases are not the representation of abused and neglected children. You then report these expenses to the state, and the state reimburses you guys based on these under 26.8A16, but that is supposed to be only for cases that are for abused and neglected. So if you got court-appointed attorneys for other juvenile type of cases, that should be, if you want to track that, you probably want to set up a different expenditure code for those, because that shouldn't be going in and asking for reimbursement for that, because it's part of that abused and neglected stuff. So that, you guys need to watch that. And then that last one we talked about too, county not approving budget supplements, contingent transfers timely to avoid budget overdrafts. Supplements continue to be before they're overdrawn. So those were our findings this go around. That other letter that we have is just another letter that's required by auditing standards that we give you that talks about if you have any difficulties and disagreements with the county personnel as we did the audit and stuff like that, which we did and those things. Granted, we're really late on this. We're gonna try. You guys are due for an audit for 23 and 24, and we're planning. We're gonna make sure that we get in here probably sometime this summer to get that thing done and follow up on these things and stuff. So that would get more time than that and stuff. So we got a couple new people hired now too. So we got 4 people that are out here, and once we get them trained, that will help us try to get caught up. We're finally getting pretty much caught up after all the COVID money that we have to audit and some of those things and stuff. So, but we do give you guys the option to respond to our written comments. And if you guys want to do that, you can think about it and stuff. And I'll ask Mary if you guys want to respond, if you can try to get something written up probably within the next week or so. And then that way we'll wait until then to know if you're going to respond or not before we release the report. Because because your response does get put in the report with these comments and stuff like that, so. Other than that, we come in to do an audit and give an opinion on the financial statements. I think we had a few audit adjustments that we did, but in the end, we say that the financial statements do present fairly the financial position of the county as of December 31st of 22, and for the year, 2 years then, ended and stuff. So, thank Jolene and Stella and for the time they spent with me when I was here doing the audit and helping get things pulled together. And it was a little difficult time with all the changeover and stuff that was been happening and stuff. So, but I think it went pretty good and stuff. And I told Mary, we're here to help answer questions and stuff like that too. So that's no problem in the future too. So, and in fact, I think when I was here, I did the 23 annual report for you guys, so that we got done and stuff, so that you guys had at least that part, and then I'll help Mary get the 24 report going and done also, so that we get it done timely this time. So, do you have any questions?
Are there any auditor trainings, things like that we should be looking at and sending our staff to?
There is going to be an annual report training. You should get something from the association, the county association, when it's scheduled and all that and stuff. And they're planning on doing it the first part of February sometime, so that should be coming out pretty soon. That's about the only things that we put on and stuff.
Okay.
There's no other kind of
There's
trainings.
workshops, there's a spring workshop
Yeah,
for auditors, and then there's the convention, and there's workshops at.
It's usually from our office, our director of local government assistance and stuff, he usually does some kind of presentation at those things too. And he does, at the spring works, or the county convention, I think sometimes he sits down and talks with commissioners and stuff like that too. So there's those opportunities too. But other than that, I don't think the association has any other kind of trainings or anything.
They do election.
They do that,
training.
As far as for the accounting stuff, I don't think there's a whole lot other than what we try to do, answer questions and stuff. And like I came down yesterday to help try to guide them through some things and stuff. So, and then if need be, there might be another time I might have to pop down here again for some assistance and stuff. But we're there not only to criticize, we're also there to help too. So, so.
That's kind of main thing I was looking at, just moving forward, setting up for success. What resources are available to make that happen, because I know we want to get there as soon as possible, but we're going to need that help.
Right. Sure, you bet. So,
there's a lot there.
Oh yeah, So, there is a lot this time. So you just kind of.
Well, we had 3 different auditors.
To this time too, period.
Yeah. 3 different.
I'm trying to think, even in 21, was Angie still here then?
Yeah, so it's been 4.
And,
Maybe, I can't remember when.
and then Lene.
Yeah, there was Angie, Lene, and then you had 2 people I
Shante.
really didn't even know.
And then Todd, so there was 4.
I think it's
Our
still
highway, you went to what, 5?
The highway superintendent's there too, yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at there though is it's a lot for the person in that position to take on.
Oh, yeah.
And making sure we're giving them the resources to not feel overwhelmed
Sure.
or burned out, and then we keep doing that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
exactly.
One thing
So-
too, that I'd like to mention, just as a, elected official, we have great groups, like you can email like the whole auditors group, or
Yep.
and it goes out to everybody, so you can get questions answered that way, so it's another great resource that Mary takes advantage of as well, so.
Yeah,
Lene Association gives a mentor
Oh, do they?
to the new auditor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's just it. You're kind of out, you're not really close to anybody else and stuff, but, well, when you started,
I gave her Julie's name. Yes, Julie's still here. Julie's still here. She's
So,
still helping.
and stuff, and so, there is, Sue's a good, not too bad one to contact you. Vicky's been there a long time and stuff, and sometimes she's set in her ways, but.
But it's nice to have somebody that
But
is on the
and
culture.
then you got some other, Ultra, yeah. And Vicky's an Ultra, I think Hocking County's an Ultra. I'm trying to think one is east, probably Jones County might be Ultra, there's some of them, but.
Trouble is, some of them have new auditors.
Yeah, there's some of them too. There's been a changeover in the last few years.
So a couple other things I just want to ask. So with load slips, we don't have a place to weigh in town anymore. Bid writers, is there any help from bid writers? Because you have commissioners trying to write that stuff. I mean,
And the state's.
And I don't know,
Okay.
again, like for bid specs and things like that, those things, I've, reached out to some other counties, some other county highway departments and stuff and seen how they did their stuff, their things. And maybe we get some resources from that.
okay.
It's hard without a highway superintendent, none of the data is entered.
Right.
We don't have any, and at the time,
Well, that's what I was wondering,
And
one of the
highway
things,
secretary.
one of the things we do when we do our calculation for restricted fund balances is how much did you guys spend on secondary roads last year? Well, I don't know if we can find that number anyways and stuff, but.
I guess so that was the thing I asked about, if it was on the agenda earlier, is highway superintendent, secretary, and that stuff. Is that what you were saying was on, like under this portion of the agenda? Okay.
And yeah, that was probably added on.
Like I don't have that on mine. I
Yeah,
don't
but
have
if you
it.
look at the one in your file,
Oh,
it's
okay.
there.
That's where I was confused.
Yeah, it got added on Monday.
Okay.
This is the one we look at.
Yeah, that highway with the bookkeeping and stuff, I mean, yeah, that's, and I think you guys use Libor or Ultra, have you guys switched to?
We switched to Ultra.
You switched to Ultra,
And I wish I wouldn't have, but.
And stuff, so I'm not sure who's all in Ultra with highway department, because I think Culver.
we don't have anyone to run the whole
Yeah, well, I mean, once, if you find somebody, there's gonna be resources out there. to reach out to help get some help. And,
Millette County's Ultra.
yeah, and Jolene.
Al.
She's experienced somewhat.
Al.
Um,
No.
No, I didn't say not to do it, but you could help answer questions and stuff.
do you see any scenarios where a highway secretary and a highway superintendent are the same person?
I've never seen that any place.
They're always separate.
Usually
people?
separate, yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I can't. I mean, any ones that I deal with around here and stuff, I mean, are all. I mean, even OL County has a highway superintendent and a secretary. So.
The problem is the sign of the times,
Yeah.
you cannot hire people.
Oh yeah.
And
Everybody-
we've hired 4 different people.
To try to keep them, like, how do you get retained is exactly right. And I don't know what the answer is that is.
Keep working on it. That's the.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe somebody will fall into place one day, and hopefully that's happened with the auditor's office now.
Yes, it has.
We're very happy with Gary's work.
Okay. Anything else? There should be in the packet a representation letter that I need to have the chairman, and I don't know who you guys want to sign it, Mary or Jolene, because I worked with Jolene a lot in the audit, so, and she's a deputy auditor, and she's deputy auditor, so I guess you guys can decide who wants the second signature on that, but other than that, I think, it's all I had, and like I said, it was down there working with these guys and stuff, and helped out a lot and stuff, so we're gonna try to get better on getting more timely for you. I think next time we might have to do and single audit on the county auditor. It's close, because especially with that 500,000 that came through with the hospital generators this last year and stuff. But we'll have to see. They're raising that to $1 million before we have to do the audit. It used to be 750,000, so we might still be okay. I think we decided that all the SLF are money, the state local fiscal recovery funds and the local area tribal consistency fund money. I think we said that was all spent in 23 and stuff. So I think that was basically you guys used it for salaries in 23 and for other general government expenses in 23 for that LATCF money. So maybe we can get them split up because it goes by the year. If we can stay under $1 million every year, we'll be okay. That we just have to do a regular audit. But we have to do a federal audit, ads, testing and stuff. Which these 2 programs are, especially since you use them for salaries and stuff like that, they're pretty easy to test. So
When does $1 million go into effect?
that I think went into effect maybe October 1st. I think it's in effect already, F-24, yeah. So for our next audit, I think we'll, and I don't know if we've gotten anything whether we have to split that and look at 750 for the first year and $1 million for the second or not. So, but we'll keep that in mind too when doing the audit and stuff too, so. Okay. Other than that, any other concerns, questions? Just, you guys need to work
Oh, I
on.
did want to clarify one thing, because there is a question that had come up on county purchasing money from, or purchasing goods and services
Oh.
from
Elective.
a commissioner. And that is, there's a $5,000 maximum.
Right.
Right,
Yep.
on that.
And then there's some other exceptions to it. I mean, if it's something big that you have to go out for bids for and they're the low bidder, you can buy from them. If it's the only source of supply within the county, you can buy over the 5,000. So there's a couple exceptions. I think it's, what,
611.
611, isn't it? Yeah, that talks about some of that stuff, so.
That's 5,000 per day or per month? Or
5,000 per year.
Per year.
Per year, yep, it goes by the year.
So the county can purchase from Pioneer.
Right, yep, up to that.
Up to $5,000.
Yep. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Other than that, I appreciate the opportunity of providing the service to you guys.
Thank
again,
you.
so.
Thank you. Al has been, he was my first auditor, and he's been here almost every
Well,
audit.
And if we do this audit again this summer, that'll be my last audit here, because I'm planning on calling it quits on
No,
May
Al, we already
26th.
said
No, I said he couldn't retire till I retired. I retired, so you're on your own.
So,
Actually, I guess our only thing was he was doing the next audit.
Oh.
He knows what happened in 23 and 24, and I don't want to go there with anybody else. So
All right.
I'll probably let you go, Al.
Oh, okay.
I will throw you a big party because you have done exceptional for this county.
Thank you. So, appreciate it. Why coming down here? It's not that bad of a drive down here from Rapids, so a little break from things. So.
Might wanna retire in Martin.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go that far out. It's not a bad town. I have right. So, all right. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Al.
you, sir. Lead board. Jolene?
That's not mine.
Okay.
So last time, what was that, December? Weed board was gonna get a grant to purchase a side-by-side and or I don't know what to call it, machinery or
The sprayer.
sprayer. The grant does not cover motorized vehicles. They'll cover the sprayer, but it won't cover us the motorized vehicle. Anything that's motored and licensed. So we don't have an exact figure what we need quite yet, but we're looking at that $20,000 to $30,000 range.
How many four-wheelers do we have?
2.
What year are those? They're pretty.
2000 models?
They're probably 80. No, they're not 2000.
Yeah, they're newer. They're
Oh, are they?
ranchers. Yeah,
Oh, well, Tom did get one.
or they're two ranchers. 2000 models.
Kind of shape are they? Decent.
Excellent shape. We're thinking about trading one for a side by side. And keeping one. So
That's just the update.
that's the update for now.
Anything else? Jolene? Got a gravel permit for Dennis Basin. Getting gravel out of the Whipple pit, 25 loads. JBW or Platinum Transportation would be the truckers. It's on 233rd and 234th Avenue.
So, before you approve that, is that our cheapest gravel? Or do we need to follow the recommendations that were just given and look at the cheapest or the lowest bid?
Let's postpone this one to next meeting.
Does the county already have a stockpile that they purchased there?
We do.
So I mean, that's already been done, so they're just pulling out a pile they already own.
Correct.
That's processed, correct?
No,
No, pit run. That's what he's asking.
So I don't see where there would be a problem there. myself, I guess. Because when you, bid gravel like that, you know, you have specifications for the gravel, right, which you've already went through that process and you own that pile that's set in there, and so they're just pulling from that pile. And what's the county usually do? Just,
Hold on a minute, do we have paper on pallet? Or just screen? Just screen.
It's just screen
Yeah,
now.
no, Jay, we do not have paper on pallet. We just have screen.
I can't,
Do we have any pit run that we've purchased?
No.
yeah, we have,
Don't you have made pit? Or do you use it all?
no, we got some pit run out here,
Oh, yeah.
but that's got trucking on it, see, we don't want it. Let's,
so he just won't pit run is what you're saying?
we got a $20,000 line item for people that wanna gravel
Okay.
some of these section lines. We buy the gravel, they gotta haul it with trucking and the laying it
We
down.
already have the contract on, Sarah,
In the contract
from
where
last year, still in effect till June of this year.
we have bids that you accepted. Did
Let's
you
just-
accept all the bids? I
Let's
don't
just
recall.
postpone to next
But let's, yeah,
That's what I think we're getting in trouble. We can't accept all the bid. You gotta go with the lowest bidder, and then that's the one you go from. I guess if you accepted them all, you're gonna have to go back and pick the ones, the lowest bidder.
Let's just-
And
do
it
next
may
meeting.
change depending on, I guess with this it wouldn't, but if we had a project, depending on where the gravel would be coming from, may change mileage wise and trucking and.
new business. Had something, I can't remember who it is now.
Stella and I had a question on like the coroner. We were wondering if we could just pay them through like our professional fees through disbursements versus putting them in as an employee into Ultra. I wondered what you guys thought on that. I mean,
Question.
that's
Yeah.
an Al question.
An
That was an Al question.
Run him down.
Okay, well, we hope you're this afternoon, yeah, for a while.
Okay.
But that was something, because like last year we paid
$175
Linnell
or something?
for two, $116. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to send it
But
up
we
on
gotta track them
payroll.
down, get all of their, you know, banking information and all that stuff in order to pay them. Would it just be easier to go through disbursements and as professional fees?
How's that?
Okay.
Will do. I included a couple of letters that I've gotten in the mail at the end of your packets. That one there, blue, and then there's one, if you guys just wanna read through those,
No, the
I
first
just
one
think
is,
they're like information. Yeah, that's just to let us know they did a public. notice.
Right, yeah.
It's not our,
okay. On air quality.
just kind of an FYI thing.
Any more old or new business?
I don't have anything.
I have one thing on, going back to the plat. I mean, I've only ever just gotten it pretty much signed, you know, and then I record it. So looking up some of the laws here just a little bit ago, I think there needs to be a resolution on it from the auditor and stuff. So I think we might need to kind of adjust some of what we did with the approval of that, make sure we get a resolution done on it and some of that stuff. So like I said, it's not the auditor, you know, that stuff I have never done. So I've just always gotten the plat. So
The resolution is right on the flat.
is it, do you need to?
So just make sure that we
And I
leave that
read,
in
and I
there.
read,
Yes.
I just wanna make sure we're covering our bases.
We actually gave you a number. It's on here, it's right here, right at the top, resolution of conditions.
Yeah, same thing you just wrote.
So is that something we're gonna have to do again?
No, because it's
No?
on there, just make
Okay.
sure you put it in the, it should have been probably in the agenda.
Mhm.
But just make sure it's included in the minutes.
Okay.
Because the agenda did have approval of the plan.
And then we did, vote on that, approval of that, or,
right.
Based on taxes being paid.
So on that handicap map,
Yes.
we have no bids on it.
No big.
So if someone wants to, do we have to rerun it?
No,
I no, but I'm working with Kevin on that, right? then we can go and ask.
So I got another guy interested.
Okay.
And then that header board, I'm interested in that.
And so it's just good business to have clear specifications on a lot of those. A lot of times you won't get bids if it's not clear, because there's too much confusion, so that a lot of times can be an issue.
We can rebid it after, like, I wanna talk to Rose, see
You know,
if they'll do that.
and it's just good business in the community, you know, I mean, to do that. And
Rebid it.
You know,
Okay.
and then it'd be my recommendation. And then, question on like having Bros do the specs on it, I think that's a great idea, but can we just go out to anybody and get a spec? Because there's gonna be an associated cost with that, right? Considerable, probably, potentially.
We're already paying for Bros, aren't we?
Yeah.
I would assume if there's extra, that we would be responsible for
So
that.
just curious what they're gonna charge us, you know, we want just a simple, not terribly involved spec that just
Right.
kind of shows the layout that would give guidance to the bidders. Just so it's clear in what they're bidding. Because a lot of times you won't get a bidder if it's not clear.
Right. And
But then you can take it to the next level where it's a lot of expense and way more fluff than it needs to be, right?
right,
And
right,
expense.
right. And Bros have been doing the whole county, so I figured we might as well just stick with them. If we're gonna start using them for our roads and stuff, why don't we just stick with them?
So does like do we hire an engineering firm or approve an engineering firm to a bid process during the year? I know we did on the city at some, like the airport.
I don't believe we've ever done that. We just use, I know that we have Bros that will do our road and bridge stuff. And they've been doing it every year, so that's who we usually stick with.
Cause it is a cost to the county, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
and it's stuff, so you're kinda going after this same thing, you know what I'm saying,
Is that, do you still do, I mean, I know that you have some experience in that. That's not something you do anymore. Okay.
no. It's just that, like on our airport, like in the city, we did get proposals for an engineer on that, and then we had to pick the engineer based off of price and other things, so I just wanna make sure that we, you know, I guess I'm doing that right, I don't know if that's a sound question, kids. But, not to overcomplicate things or anything,
Right,
but, you know, it's
right.
just, yeah, I do think that's definitely the way forward personally as well, is to get some kind of a, plan from a firm like that, to move that along.
I would think, we're talking about the handicap.
Right.
There's gotta be some kind of specs out there. Obviously, you have to follow compliance, right?
Yeah, kinda like,
But that's what we're looking at is ground compaction.
even just layout, just a, you know, a site plan, and then this is where we want it to go.
Right.
You know, and then
With,
it meets slope requirements by the ADA and there's a lot of times that's what.
that, he's got all that. But I'm thinking we're gonna need, you're gonna want, what's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, sometimes you can put just a simple spec in there, it must meet ADA requirements.
Right. But then again, you know, what are you gonna use for backfill material for that? Cause there's gonna be some fill in there. And, you know, are you gonna require a compaction test?
Yeah, some of that, I mean, like
You
that
know,
project, I probably wouldn't, of course,
But then are you gonna put a warranty on it from even for 2 years or something?
good, but most times just a year. Most all contracts I've ever seen are a year.
Right. But that's.
Yeah.
It would just be easier to just have it all written out.
Sure. Yeah.
They'll have the dimensions in a drawing and
Exactly what they need.
Something you can hand that then to the contractors that are bidding it, it's clear and concise, this is it, this is what you're bidding, it's all apples to apples.
Are you still considering a parking space up on the State Street end?
yes, one, we was looking at that, if we put that handicap ramp right at the corner, you could have a handicap parking on each side.
Thank you.
And that's something that could be part of that plan, showing that this is the plan of the whole project. Yep.
With that, are we looking at doing anything with the front stairs as well on the south side of the building? Because a lot of those were, crumbling up a couple years ago, and we just got I think temporary patches on the cement and stuff. So I just, maybe it's something to throw in there.
Well, we can't, this is on a grant,
Okay,
is what this is.
for the handicap. Okay.
Yes. And it's actually so they can literally close that north door.
On court days.
Why, almost maybe permanently, I don't know.
No,
No?
We've got for court days for security purposes.
and that was the big thing, that you can pull that thing across the highway, or across the hallway. Yeah, I'm gonna block the highway off, don't come that way. On the court days,
But that's why we're got access to this grant, and we're gonna try to use it to the best of our ability. Any other orderly business? Highway superintendent, I said we put out 2 weeks. Wage dependent on experience.
Do we have job descriptions that go out for that?
I just have a general job description on my computer, that's what I
I thought you had one.
I have one someplace.
posted last.
I have one someplace. I'll look for it. It's probably on-
So a job description for the secretary and the superintendent?
Are you guys interested in hiring both, or do you
Yes.
want to just stick with
By
the
law, we have-
superintendent?
We have to have,
There's no bylaw that you have to have a secretary.
You have to have somebody doing account management.
Right, and
And that's-
so are you gonna be hiring a highway superintendent to be the administrative person to do all of that, or are you gonna be having both? That's what I'm wondering.
I guess that's what my question to Al, what that meant, because it was a highway superintendent. And so I asked him,
He's never seen it done that way.
so what has been done in the past? What has been the weight of the highway secretary? And what has been their job requirements?
It's very,
Everything that he said that we're lacking, basically.
So the highway superintendent was a full position, part-time position by the hour?
Our highway superintendent mostly was a working position, so that person would
Who was a
actually
working
be in the
superintendent?
blade doing,
And that
Okay,
was,
how
that
about the highway
was something
secretary?
that
the secretary
never
was
started.
in office.
You can't be a superintendent, be an operator.
Right, and so I know the secretary would be in office, recording the road information that came in, doing payroll,
running for parts.
kind of.
And this was so it was a full-time position?
The
Just-
secretary, no.
Just within the last few years, we put it as full-time
I think so,
employee.
yeah.
And then I think it may have went back to part-time, I guess I don't know when our last highway secretary was here, whether she was full-time or part-time. But I know, Jolene, when did you quit doing, your office quit doing it?
Never?
21?
20 or early 21.
So
So-
prior to that,
So-
it was a part-time position and Jolene's office actually covered it. As part, her secretary was part highway superintendent, part treasurer secretary.
So-
deputy.
To begin with, there's gonna be so much catch-up to do that it's gonna have to be full-time.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my just thinking out loud sort of a thing. If the county were to combine the highway secretary and highway superintendent into one job description for now, and then where you guys are doing, well, you, I guess now, whatever, are doing some subcontract work for some of the road work, right? That takes a lot off of this highway superintendent, allowing them time to handle the secretary. We don't really have the budgeting for both positions, I don't think. I would assume that we don't. So that if those two can be combined and then still work with that contracting some, why would you be able to do that? The problem is the skill base of the person that you look for is gonna be higher. Because they're gonna not only be able to be computer literate and be able to, do all these reports, but they're also gonna have knowledge of roads.
And we did this with the last highway superintendent secretary / she was highway superintendent and highway secretary.
So I guess if we put a solicitation out or whatever for this position, are we going to include the job description of the highway secretary and the
I
superintendent?
would put it down, there's going to be a lot of administrative administration board required for this job.
Who's in charge of like job descriptions and stuff? Like we got a question on the floor.
The wages is the one thing in the highway department that doesn't get used to its fullest extent. So there is a lot of flexibility in the highway department wages, just for your information. Because I follow it every year. But that's the one part in the highway department that there is a lot of flexibility.
Highway department budget is what you're
Yes,
saying.
budget, correct. And the second thing is, in my opinion, if you hire the proper superintendent, it should be his job to go get a secretary and get staff underneath of him to do the proper work that needs to be done for the county.
I would agree eventually it could come to that, like an assistant or something, actually have that written down in that job, because it, you know, but starting out, you know what I'm saying, but then as it gets lined out, and then that assistant could come online.
I believe that I have a job description on my computer. I just have to go look, but I have it either in my files or on my computer, and we can add to it or remove from it, if that's what you'd like.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, is maybe the board should look at a job description, make sure that is what they want before putting it out there, so it's clear. Same as bidding, clear and concise to the public, what you're looking for, what you want, and then we have our set of goals put down,
I
you know.
can email what I have to you guys, if you would like.
Yeah, I mean, we could,
What are your thoughts?
the two highway guys can look at that job description, okay it, because they could probably do that after the meeting, I'm assuming, or you gotta go. Yes, I gotta go,
I
or,
won't take that one.
and they could okay it, and then it can be put in paper. That way we can get on it. What I'm thinking.
I mean, that, yeah, that's good, that's all good with doing that. The other option would be to have it, make the recommended, bring it to the board, you know, with the recommended changes and stuff, then yeah, it's gonna be delayed. But that's probably the right way, you know, but either way. Cause your committees, I guess the way I look at a committee or whatever is they go out, gather the information and bring it to the board to approve.
Wait, put it off for 2 weeks.
But
Is-
I'm just throwing that out there, I don't know if that's,
When you're advertising for this position, are you gonna be putting the whole job description in the paper, or is it gonna be something where you can pick up an application
I
and the
think pick
job
up the
description in the
application.
auditor's office, or call and we can email it to you?
yeah, I think that'd be the way to go, just so the expense is not there, right?
And
You
then
have
we can
smaller-
start advertising as your,
There we go.
because it's not gonna go in the paper until next week anyway. So by next week on Wednesday, there should be a job description, hopefully, that you all.
Would have approved. Good
The
idea.
superintendent's gonna know what's going on anyway, so that's good.
A good superintendent might not be a paperwork guy,
Well,
for what the
they
requirements
better
are
know
through the
what's
state.
going on.
They better, but those two are not always a perfect match.
No.
So that's why we gotta hammer out this job description and make sure that's what we want.
Well, we got an job interview. There can be a lot, you know, sit there and tell them, this is what we expect, this is what we gotta have.
So I guess I would make a motion that we put a job posting in the newspaper for the position of highway secretary and superintendent. Combined position, I guess.
I would put it highway superintendent / secretary.
Okay, highway superintendent / secretary.
Or administration instead of secretary.
Administration.
Administrator.
Highway superintendent administrator. So highway superintendent administrator, so that we can get that in the paper, that's my motion, I guess, and then, at the next meeting, we approve a, job description for that person to hand out.
Next meeting in 2 weeks. piece of paper.
The job description doesn't necessarily need to be voted on and approved, it's more of a, HR thing, but if you guys would like to look at
Okay,
it,
I'll rescind that part,
input.
okay, I'll rescind that part of the motion, so just put it in the paper to solicit for, the highway superintendent administrator position.
We got a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. And the receipt, wages.
So I guess, I would be asking that, my secretary assistant Amanda get a, increase. I believe she's currently making 18.50 an hour. She's been here since 2018. She's invaluable in my office. I know that she helps the sheriff's office a lot with their 24/7 and keeps track of who's on, who's not on. And I would just ask that she be given a $1.50 increase so that she's making $20 an hour. And I can go into more detail if you'd like for everything that she does. I've given her the responsibility of keeping track of our juvenile diversion people. So every juvenile that gets put on the diversion program, she's keeping track of all of that information that gets submitted to the state every July, and then the state reimburses on that. Last year, I believe that we got approximately $10,000 in reimbursement for that program because we had several juveniles successfully complete. She just has kind of, I've given her the responsibility of taking care of keeping track of all that, which is huge because that takes a lot off of my plate. There's so many other things that she does.
How long has she been at the current wage?
Probably 2 years. Has it been?
We didn't get wages last year.
Going on 2 years?
Going on 2 years.
Maybe we need to go in executive session for personnel.
Do we have, are we budgeted for it, I guess? I mean, can we,
Did you put that in your budget?
No, you told us
I
to leave
tried,
our budget, says that, yeah,
but
you told
I
us to
was-
leave them.
I had it in my original budget, but I believe that you guys decided that nobody would get wage increases.
Yep. That's exactly what you told us, put our budgets back to what they
So the
were.
rest of my budget was approved. I do have,
do you get annual,
we didn't get
cost of
anything.
living? No. So usually like we would do 3% over the city every year, and that's
Right.
pretty general. So if you do 3% on the 1850, it's $19, and then another one on that, gets you at 1963. So probably 20 is pretty close to, that over 2 years.
I do have, I have wiggle room in my budget. I just have to watch it very closely, which I do anyway.
So you think you can pull that out of your budget then,
Okay, good.
and keep within budget?
Okay, good.
So if that's the case, I would make the motion that we go ahead and raise it to $20 an hour if we keep it in budget. And that, I guess would be my motion.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
We need to go into executive session for anything?
Yes. For personnel. I'll make a motion for executive session for personnel 1-25-2, courtesy 1. To start out with the commissioners and then Sarah.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We are now in executive session at 1:26.
And then we visited yesterday about, I have a couple applications for
It's been honestly, I have it very hard to find, vanilla Coke. Vanilla Coke, so when you look at a lot, I've never done it.
Are you ready? We are back in at 12:03. No action will be taken at this time. Motion to adjourn. We have a motion, we have a second.
second.
We have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are out at